I think it goes without saying that protein is pretty important. Most people that I speak to now recognise the importance of protein in our diet, not only for muscle health, growth, recovery, but also for things like satiation and feelings of fullness. Protein plays such an important role in the body, but sometimes it can be hard to know exactly how much protein we should be eating each day. Are you eating enough protein, and how can you tell the exact amount of protein that is right for you as an individual? Today we are going to touch on all of these topics and answer all of your questions when it comes to protein as I run through my complete protein cheat sheet for you all. My name is Sam Gerlin. I'm the founder of Gerlin Nutrition. I'm a fully qualified nutritionist and I'm an online health and fitness coach. And as I say, today we're going to be talking about protein. We're going to be breaking this critical, crucial, important macronutrient down for you today. It's become a bit of a buzzword in the health, fitness, nutrition industry. But today I'm going to try and cut through the crap effectively and give you the facts around protein. So without any further ado, let's get straight into this. Okay, happy day. So I've got my trusty little laptop here with me and I've just started a Loom recording over here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. I'll put a little visual on screen so that you can see, you know, as I say, exactly what I'm talking about as we move through this. But I'm going to kick things off here by talking about daily protein targets. I mentioned in the intro to the video that, you know, it's often very, very difficult to know exactly how much protein you should be eating. There's so much sort of conflicting information out there. Some people will say that, you know, protein is drastically overhyped. Other people will say, you know, it is the cornerstone of everything that we should be trying to do with our nutrition. And it often presents that little bit of confusion, as is often the case with most things in the nutrition industry. So today, you know, I'm trying to really break things down for you and show you a table that, you know, explains things in a little bit more detail so that you can sort of, you know, look at the table, realize where you may kind of sit, and then sort of gain an understanding of exactly how much protein you should be eating as a result. So we can see here that, you know, the exact amount of protein that we need to be eating per day very much depends on our weight status, so how much we weigh, and also depends on, you know, our goal. So how active we are, you know, whether we're looking to build muscle, which I always think we should always be looking to do, unless it's for some sort of athletic pursuit. Maybe you've put on too much muscle mass and you're looking to get a marathon PB and you want to shave some. That's the only sort of example I can really think of where it comes to actually actively looking at losing muscle mass. But it might also be a matter of, you know, maintaining muscle mass and leaning out a little bit, or it might be fat loss. But we can see here that, you know, depending on your level of activity and what your goal is there, our protein intake is going to look very different. So, you know, it might range anywhere from sort of 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So that means if you're a 75 kilo individual, someone, you know, not too far from myself, I'm going to want to be looking at a minimum, this is a bare minimum of 75 grams of protein per day. But it could go all the way up to someone who's, you know, more overweight and looking to gain muscle and lose fat simultaneously. They might be looking as high as 2.4 grams per kilogram of body weight, okay? Now, a lot of this evidence comes from, you know, several different studies sort of pulling it all together. But my general recommendation, as we'll see as we move on here, is anywhere around 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. The truth is that there is no magic number when it comes to how much protein everyone should be having. Now, the recommended dietary allowance is 0.8, I believe, 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is nowhere near what it probably should be, in all honesty. That is sort of what's adequate for 97.5% of the population, but it's certainly not what is optimal. You know, more and more research keeps coming out to suggest that higher intakes of protein are actually more beneficial. There's, you know, all sorts of different studies looking at, you know, protein timing and how much protein we should eat at once, and there doesn't seem to be any upper limit from, you know, the most recent sort of research evidence. So certainly 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight is going to be very hard for you to go wrong with those sorts of numbers. You'll see on screen there that there are some studies that you can check out if you go and Google those to sort of back up what I'm saying here. But it's really dependent, and I really want to hammer this home, that, you know, the amount of protein that you eat per day is very, very dependent on your goals, on your body weight, your body composition, your age, your training intensity, and your recovery. So this will all be dictating, how much protein you should be eating. But I think if there is a number that you take away from this video, that 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight range is a very good number to strive for. So for someone like myself, that's somewhere around 130 to 140 grams of protein per day. And that is sort of the minimum number that I will personally strive for to hit on a daily basis. I mentioned there about protein distribution and how, different studies are suggesting how much protein we should be eating in different meals throughout the day. And the evidence here, if we're optimizing for muscle growth and muscle protein synthesis, we're really looking to maximize that. The evidence suggests that splitting our protein intake evenly across more meals across the day is optimal for muscle protein growth. So if that is indeed what you are looking to do, which is, again, something that I recommend for everyone, having more eating windows throughout the day, spreading your protein evenly across, optimizes muscle protein synthesis. So again, you can see a nice little graph there that sort of demonstrates this. So, for a 70 kilogram individual eating 1.7 grams per kilogram of protein per day, so you're looking at around 120 grams split across 5 feeding windows. That is how it might look as the graph demonstrates here. If we move on now to looking at daily protein intake, now you might want to take a screenshot of this and take this away with you. We can see what sort of goals you should be striving for depending on how much protein you want to be taking in. And this is really dependent on you. A big part of nutrition and what I do is, of course, I can advise and I can guide, but it's taking the action yourself and realizing, who you are, what you're looking to do, what you're looking to achieve, asking yourself those why questions that I'm always banging on about, getting to your deeper purpose for why you want to achieve what you want to achieve with your health and fitness, and then determining what you need as a result. So I've given some, tangible examples there. As a minimum, 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, and as a higher end here, we've got 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you can really have a look and see what weight you are, whether you work in kilograms, pounds, or stone, and then how many grams of protein you need to be eating as a result on the other side of the table there. We could also see, how much protein you should be taking in per meal. A very similar graph. Again, I recommend that you take a screenshot of this so you've got that cheat sheet to take away with you. And just in case you're wondering why I've got comment protein and DM me NGB, this is actually a post that I've recently shared on Instagram. So I'm using this to demonstrate today in this YouTube video, but it's actually been a post over on Instagram. So if you want to go and check that out, you can check the link down in the description. And if you'd like a little bit more information on all this sort of stuff, you can comment protein on that Instagram post, or you can DM me NGB over on Instagram to get a little look into my program, the Nutritional Growth Blueprint, where we really break down all of this sort of detail and make it nice and easy for you. Moving on, protein sources. Now let's look at where we can actually obtain this protein from. So if we're looking at pure protein, we're looking at things like white fish, turkey breast. I won't read them all, but you get the gist. Chicken breast, tunas, egg whites, protein powders. And then we obviously get sources of protein which contain some fats and some carbohydrates. Protein, fats, carbohydrates being our 3 primary macronutrients. So protein and fats examples might be something like salmon, like full fat yogurts, like cheeses, nuts and seeds. Chicken thigh tend to have slightly more fat than something like chicken breast, for example, as is the case with beef in most cases. Often, different minces as well. We can obviously get leaner cuts of mince, but we can, of course, also get some more fatty mince, which falls into this category. Sorry if you can hear the sirens in the background. Someone's obviously in trouble there. But we also get protein and carb sources too. So there is obviously that natural overlap. I'll allude to that once more. But things like edamame, different beans, lentils, chickpeas, these contain both carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and protein. So again, take a screenshot, take this away with you. This is yours to keep. Those are some sources where you can get your protein from. And now some more tangible examples around specific meals. So something like breakfast here. Again, once more, I'll allude to the fact that you can indeed take these screenshots, take these recipes away with you. These are some of my 2 favourite go-tos for breakfast. Everybody knows, if you've been following my channel for a while or my Instagram, that I love the kefir bowl. That gets me a nice sort of 30 grams of protein to kickstart the day, with plenty of other, lovely little micronutrients and whatnot. Also got, the egg avo bagel example there. moving on to some lunch ideas. We've got a tuna egg salad. We've got a chicken salad sandwich, just giving you some, nice and easy options to throw together for lunch. Can be a very busy time in the day. It's good to get ahead. These are some great examples where you can get yourself, in excess of 30, 40 grams of protein nice and easily. Dinner options. We've got some grilled beef fajitas, or we've got some salmon also bake. Again, take your screenshots. Take this away with you. These are some of my two absolute go-tos. Salmon also bake is a personal favourite of mine. And then one that people tend to fixate on is snacks. Where can we get, a nice high protein snack? We've got some protein pancake examples there, as well as some cottage cheesecakes. So that is me doing a, quick, tour, I suppose you could put it, of protein, and offering you some protein cheat sheets for you to take away. Hopefully you've taken loads of value from this, because I appreciate that protein can be a very complex topic. Again, I'll refer back to this table that I've got on the screen once more now. Take a look at this. This is going to be your biggest takeaway. Obviously, I've mentioned the idea that, if you are particularly sedentary and you are at, a healthy weight, obviously the minimum end of the spectrum there says 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, which is still higher than the RDA, the recommended dietary allowance, or recommended daily intake, whatever you want to call it. Recommended nutrient intake is still higher than that, but it's probably still too low based on the most recent research evidence. We definitely need more than 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, put it that way. So the biggest takeaway from this video is going to be, you want to be eating at least 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. But take a look at this table. If you feel like you need more, if you fall into any of those categories, make sure you are. Use the recipes that are provided here. Use the examples that are provided, and you can't go wrong. And you'll notice massive differences in the way you feel, in the way that you recover. It's very, very hard to overeat or eat too much when you're eating a nice and high protein diet, because you feel so satiated, you feel so full. Protein is a lot more complex to digest than something like carbohydrates, for example, especially simple carbohydrates and ultra processed, highly processed foods. So it slows down the digestion, makes you feel fuller for longer, supports your muscle health, supports all sorts of different enzymatic reactions in the body. So you can't go much wrong with a nice and high protein diet. But that is the end of this video. It's a whistle-stop tour of exactly what you can do to make sure that you're hitting the protein target that is right for you. If you've enjoyed this video or you've taken something from it, please consider hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like and commenting if there's anything that you want to ask or anything else that you want to see. I really will appreciate that. And the reason that you should is because I'll be dropping 2 to 3 YouTube videos just like this one every single week. So there's loads more value to come, lots of content to be coming your way. So stay tuned for that. Once more, I remind you that in the description down below, you can check out my Instagram, or you can check out my service, my program, the Nutritional Growth Blueprint, where I can do these sorts of things for you and guide you through the whole process across a 6-month program with plenty of accountability and nutrition and fitness and training support. So we make, these principles that I talk about here work for you and your lifestyle and your goals, which is obviously the most important thing, making it work for you. But I thank you once more for reaching this point in the video. You're an absolute legend for making it here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all in the next one on the other side in a bit.